Welcome to Sports Cards once again. Over the past few decades, each generation of the NBA seems to have one and only one active player whose card values soar high above all others. This player tends to be the face of the NBA for a number of years. This trend moved from Michael Jordan in the 80s and part of the 90s to Kobe Bryant to LeBron James. But now, as LeBron begins to get closer and closer to retirement age, will there be a new player who takes on the mantle of this? Well, if you analyze the basketball card market today, it certainly seems as if basketball fans and card collectors are really expecting Luka Doncic to be the new face of the NBA. If that does prove to be true, then it's very likely his rookie cards will be valuable for long into the future, likely really valuable, and could be excellent investments just like MJ's, Kobe's, and LeBron's have proven to be. So, if you really wanted to invest in Luka Doncic rookie cards, which ones should you be aiming for? There is so many to choose from. In this video, we'll explore this question exactly. And please do subscribe to this channel for lots of basketball card content. It helps out a ton, especially since this is a very new YouTube channel, as you can see from the very few number of subscribers over there. Now, in trying to answer this question, there's a few things we need to consider first. In particular, we need to consider what our starting budget actually is. If you're trying to just get in on the ground floor with some very basic, inexpensive raw rookie cards, or if you're wanting to find much more expensive serial numbered short printed PSA cards that go for thousands or even millions of dollars, then this list would look very different. As such, we're going to separate this list into three sections: the best investments for the budget card collector investor, the best mid-tier investments for the genuinely serious but not ultra-wealthy card investor. That's going to be under $10,000. That's also very expensive, but this is, keep in mind, for actually serious investor. And then the best top tier investments for the envy-inducing ultra wealthy, and that will have no maximum budget at all. Now, as I go into this list, I'll mention my logic and reasoning for my specific choices, but do bear in mind that these are just my opinions and should not be taken as anything more than that. All right, let's start with those who probably make up the majority of us, those who wish they could afford to invest in higher end cards, but can realistically only go for the less expensive options. Now, honestly, what I would say at this cheaper level is just buy the card that you like the most, honestly. In the lower end budget of cards, there isn't going to necessarily be a major advantage for buying one card over the other for the long-term investment potential, for the most part. So my major advice at this level is get the card you actually like. With that being said, there are some things that stand out to me within the budget range and that are good for you to keep your eye on and keep your mind on when you're thinking about what card to get in this budget range. Okay, this is the Panini Status Blue Parallel. So as of October 2021, this one would cost you about $100 raw, up to about maybe $500 or so for the PSA 10. So as I go through these, I'm going to give you the logic behind these choices. Now this one, with color matching parallels being all the hype nowadays, I think there is reason to start your budget search with blue parallels specifically, as some of them can still be quite budget oriented but look really nice. I don't know for sure if this trend of collecting color matching parallels will be a long-lasting thing or not, but I do think that it tends to look better, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does stay a thing. So I think color matching parallels is a good place to start a budget-oriented search. And even at the budget level, I would suggest that parallels are going to be better long-term investments over base cards anyway, just because their pop count will always be at least somewhat less than that base card version. And there were so many cards printed in 2018-19 that pop count is really an important part of this whole equation for long-term investment. With this Status Blue Parallel card I'm showing here, the pop count of PSA 10s as of the making of this video is 134, whereas the base version of the Status is 932. And only 39 PSA 9s of the blue exist, whereas there's 486 of the base cards PSA 9. So not bad at all. I really like this card as a good budget investment. I have chosen here the Panini Status Rookie in particular just because I really like its look, its pop count, and think the blue parallel version really stands out. But there are blue parallels in a number of other more budget brands to consider as well, including Chronicles, Hoops, and even some others. Alright, the next one we're going to look at is the Panini Chronicles Essentials Insert Blue Parallel, numbered out of 99. Now this one's estimated value is pretty similar to the previous one, maybe about $100 for the raw, $500 for the PSA 10, Now, I'm including this one to get you thinking about two specific things. I don't know if I'd necessarily invest in this one, but there are two things about it that make it stand out in my mind. So we already talked again about the blue parallel, so I'm not going to talk about that one more with this one, except to say that this particular blue parallel is also serial numbered out of 99. Now, if you can find a serial numbered card within this lower end budget, especially something that has kind of a lower serial number like this one, 99, then it's likely to be a pretty good one to consider, because the scarcity will likely be worth a value later. Now, the second point I want to bring up with this card is the fact that it's an insert. Now, this is one you have to kind of understand a little bit more. You have to see both sides. Inserts don't necessarily have the same kind of attraction nowadays like they did back in the 90s. So besides the super rare and unique, really special inserts, most inserts aren't anything particularly special for most collectors. And oftentimes they're not the greatest as far as choices for long-term investment. However, it does mean that they can be quite a bit less expensive than color parallels and sometimes even than just the regular base card itself, despite the fact that it has a lower pop count than the base card. This means that you might be more likely to find a card that you really like from a brand that you really like, if it's a more expensive brand, but it could still be within this lower budget range if you're willing to consider inserts and not just base and color parallels. Now, personally, there aren't a whole lot of inserts I would be seeking for, at least in the budget range, but personally I do like the look of these Essentials inserts from Chronicles quite a lot, so I'd be a little bit more willing to target this one than many others, even though inserts are going to not be my top choice. There are, if you like inserts and if you want to get certain brands like Prism or some of these other brands, it can be a little bit expensive to get some of the color parallels, and you know, inserts could be one way to go if you like them. And some of the other ones I like include the Chronicles Crusade inserts. They also have a blue parallel numbered to 99 that's also in the same budget range. Prism's Freshman Phenoms is kind of nice, and Panini's Threads Rookie Icon jerseys have a nice iconic look to them. And also Court King's Emerging Artists. But again, be a little careful about inserts. But if you want a nice looking card that has a somewhat low pop count, it's worth it. All right, the next one I'm going to show you is the Revolution Base Rookie. So this one is estimated to be worth currently about $125 raw and about $400 in a PSA 10. I'm bringing this one up specifically because I want to discuss a bit about some good base rookies, non-parallel, non-insert cards to consider. Now, the main reason I want to mention the Revolution base rookie is a couple of things, actually. Firstly, if you look at the recent sales in September and early October, the PSA 9s and PSA 10s versions of this card seem to be going for less than what you would expect, especially when comparing them to the raw price. Now, a handful of the PSA 9s have been going for under $200, even though the raw version is going for about $125. So in this case, either the raw is being overvalued a little bit here, or the PSA 9s and PSA 10s are being undervalued. And to me, it seems a little bit more likely it's the latter. This highlights one other talking point when considering which rookie card to buy. Does the sales information between raw PSA 9s and PSA 10s have some kind of off-balance thing about it? If so, it's worth looking into why. Is there a certain card in there that's undervalued? If there isn't a clear reason, then it's likely that eventually the market is going to fix itself, that it's just a little bit off right now and it's eventually going to fix itself. So if you can find something that's one of the better buys before the market does fix itself, then you're likely getting yourself a pretty good deal. Now, the second point I want to talk about when talking about this particular card is related to pop count. So in 2018-19, if you look at the PSA pop count of Luka's base rookie cards in Revolution, you can see it's 752 PSA 10s and 472 PSA 9s. But let's really quickly here hop over to the Prism rookie card for a second. 17,924 PSA 10s and 13,542 PSA 9s. That is ridiculous. Personally, unless I find some kind of steal of a deal, I'm very unlikely ever to target Luka's Prism base rookie due to that ridiculous pop count. Scarcity is part of the equation that makes for whether something is going to have value long term. And if you can find a base Luka Prism everywhere you go anytime due to that pop count, I just don't see how it's ever going to really be that much more valuable than it is even right now. Not to mention, I also just like the look of this Revolution card more than I do the base card of Prism or Select or a lot of others. All right, some other more budget-oriented base Luka rookies that I like include the Donruss Rated rookie and its really classic look. Though its pop count is still half of that of Prism, it's still very high compared to Revolution, as well as the Select Concourse rookie, which has a quarter of the pop count of the Donruss, surprisingly, and could be a really reasonable choice. I could even see why you might choose that one over the Revolution, actually. And the next one is Crown Royale, which has the lowest pop count of them all, and just generally really surprises me at how inexpensive it's going for. The only reason I would probably target the Revolution over the Crown Royale, I mentioned in another video how Crown Royale seems to be going for a lot cheaper generally in China, and I think the influence of China on the market in the US is there. So if it can be cheaperly found there, it's eventually make its way into the US market for a little bit cheaper price. So I think Crown Royale could go down in value a little bit in the US, but still I think that will only be a little bit. So Crown Royale would be another one I'd consider here as well. All right, now that we've looked at a number of the more budget options, let's take our budget up a level and see what we can see. For this more mid-tier level of Luka rookie cards, we're looking specifically for cards between, say, about $1,000 and $10,000. Now, that's still a pretty big range, but we'll discuss a few main points along the way, which is really the most important thing here. It's not always about just this one card or that one card, but it's about the reasons behind why certain cards may be worth looking closer at, as it helps us to better identify good deals when we're hunting down some cards to buy. All right, the first one is the Prism Silver Prism. So the estimated value at PSA 9 of this one is about $1,750, and the PSA 10 is about $6,000. I'm not even mentioning the raw versions once we get into this kind of card. Once we get to this card, I probably wouldn't buy the raw card unless my plan was to find one that I could grade into a PSA 9 or PSA 10. At this level, I'd rather just get the graded card. Now, while I just mentioned how I wouldn't be so interested in trying to track down the Luka base Prism rookie, it's a bit of a different story with the Silver Prism. Silver Prisms are the most intriguing of the color Prism parallels to me, for sure. Now, why is that? At first, it might seem strange. I mean, out of all the different color parallels of the Prism base card, the Silver has the highest pop count, though it's still significantly lower than the non-parallel base card. But I still think it's one of the best for long-term investment. I mean, while some of the serial numbered parallel cards will likely always be higher value, if I had to choose between, say, a red Prism numbered to 299 or an unnumbered silver Prism, it would honestly be a tough choice for me. The red is certainly way more scarce, but I also think the long-term demand on quite a number of the Prism color parallels just won't be there, simply because there are just too many different random color parallels. And even if one of them is out of $299, if you consider this one is $299, this other one is $249, this other one is $199, this other one is $179, and it just keeps going and going and going, seemingly never ending, it begins to feel like there's just too many different color parallels out there. However, the silver is more like the classic rookie card. It may not have quite the scarcity of some of the serial numbered ones, but it looks more classic, and it has more of the feel of being like the main rookie card to collect. I look at the Prism Silver as how I look at the Topps Chrome from back in the day. It's not always the most expensive and valuable card of them all, but it is considered to be like the rookie card from its era. Its demand is always there. Even if there's some other cards that actually have higher value, you might have a harder time finding a buyer for them, I think. I think with the Prism Silvers, you'll always be able to find a buyer. There will always be a good market for them. And I also, and this is an important point, I think it's more solid even if the sports card market was less healthy at the time. So if the sports card market drops, I have a feeling the numbered parallels that are just random colors will probably drop right along with it. I think the silvers could hold up a little stronger in comparison those kinds of times. So that's my opinion though, I could be wrong. All right, the next one we're gonna look at is the Improbable Rookie Patch Auto, numbered out of 99. Now, while this one is more on the upper end of the mid-tier budget, I mean, mid-tier is maybe the wrong name here since this is likely going to still be like $10K, and that's the price of a reasonably decent used car, so it's hard for me to personally list this price as mid-tier, but in terms of the card market as it stands, I would say this is still kind of mid-tier. Now, I'm including this one for a couple of reasons. Firstly, and importantly, when you're thinking about investing in a card, you have to ask yourself if you like the card. If you like the card, likely other people will also like it. If you think the card looks corny or ugly or something, likely other people will too. You can still find people who will buy your ugly but you can still find people who will buy your ugly but valuable cards in the future, but I think you'll find it easier to sell your cards more towards the upper end of the market value if it's something that a lot of people just really think is phenomenal looking. And this particular card by Improbable is phenomenal looking. I'd hang it on my wall as a piece of art if I could. The second reason I wanted to mention this card in particular is because it's a rookie patch auto. Now, I think when investing in a card, investing in something with an on-card autograph is one of the best things to have on there. And while I'm somewhat less personally enthralled by the inclusion of a patch of dirty laundry, I also recognize that for many collectors, that extra up-close and personal connection with an actual game-worn piece of jersey is highly appreciated. Personally, I find it a little uncomfortably close, like maybe a little stalkery or something, but I know that's just me. Patches do have a history in the sports card collecting hobby in recent decades that make it seem clear to me that it's something that will be highly sought for long into the future. And autographs have been an important part of sports card collecting in some way or another since the beginning of sports cards, so I think rookie patch autos are going to be good long-term investments. A few others that I really like include the National Treasures RPA, the Noir RPA, the Crown Royale RPA, and the Dominion Gold RPA, though that may be just slightly above this mid-tier range. But there's a lot of autos, patches, and RPAs out there to consider. These are just some of my personal favorites. Moving on to the upper tier of cards, those that can be afforded only by the ultra-wealthy who burn $100 bills to light their smuggled cigars while they drive their Monday-specific Ferraris. I'm honestly not even going to spend much time here since I personally think that spending this amount of money on a card is objectively ridiculous. But in a world where people spend millions on things like NFTs and other essentially non-existent things, at least these cards do physically exist. That's something, at least. Alright, here is the National Treasures Auto Logo Man, 1 of 1. Now, I'm mentioning this card not because I have some specific love for it, but because it sold at auction in February 2021 for $4.6 million. At the time, the most expensive sports card ever sold in history. This is really the only reason I'm mentioning it here. And to say that really, the only cards to really aim for if you were at this level of sports card investor and you were aiming for Luka specifically, would be the 1 of 1 cards. Maybe the 1 of 5 cards if you really wanted to pinch some pennies. But to be honest, if you're at this level of sports card investing and you're getting your advice from me, a random YouTuber, I really think you should be looking elsewhere. But all that being said, here are some of the 1 of 1 Luka rookie cards that do exist, besides this $4.6 million one. I don't know exactly what the price would be for any of these, but I expect that for most of us that doesn't matter since we're not going to ever be aiming to get one of these. But here they are. Certified Mirror Black, Crown Royale Crystal Platinum, Donruss Press Proof Black Laser, Optic Black, Optic Choice Nebula, Optic Fast Break Black, Optic Gold Vinyl, Hoops Artist Proof Black, Chronicles Platinum, Contenders Autograph Championship Ticket, Contenders Draft Picks Autograph Championship Ticket, Contenders Optic Autograph Gold Vinyl, Cornerstones Auto Quad Memorabilia, Dominion Platinum, Encased Autograph Platinum, Flawless Platinum, Impeccable RPA Hollow Platinum, National Treasures RPA Logo Man, Noir Platinum, Obsidian Electric Etch Mojo, Opulence Platinum, Prism Black, Prism Choice Nebula, Mosaic Black, Spectra Nebula, Status Kaleido, Threads Dazzle Black, Threads Premium Black, and Select Prisms Black. Whew, what a list. Now to me, I'm actually surprised at how valuable some of the 1 of 1 cards can actually be when you consider how many different 1 of 1s that actually exist just for this 1 year, for this one rookie player. I mean, we see just right here 30 different 1 of 1 rookie cards of Luka. So it seems to me, like at least it makes me feel, that some of these cards are not so much 1 of 1s, but more like 1 of 1 of 30. Now, that's just my opinion. That might not be the same for others. But the fact that they're all by Panini, I mean, I know it's different sub-brands of Panini, but they're all by Panini, and they're all called 1 of 1s, but there's 30 of them. So to me, it just feels like Panini is trying to make value kind of out of nothing here. Not to mention, half of them seem to be called Platinum or Nebula and Black. So if you're gonna have something that's super rare, like, can you get a little bit of creativity here? They kind of force create this scarcity to ramp up the price to some sort of millions of dollars. I don't know. It feels a little weird to me. All right, so the summary of that, don't spend millions of dollars on one single basketball card, especially when they don't even look that much different than the base card that you can get for a couple $100. I just don't get the attraction. I'm sorry. That's all I have for you in this particular video. Do you have any Luka Doncic rookie cards? Which ones? Let us know in the comments below. Are there any other rookie cards that you think are good ones to aim for that I didn't mention here? Also let us know in the comments below. Do you have $1 million Luka Doncic rookie card that you'd like to give to me for free to support the channel? Also let me know in the comments below or anywhere else. Anyway, catch y'all next time.